Ah. Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning. This is Joy, back at it again on Sunday morning, back on a normal schedule. I'm actually going solo today. Jason had to work, or has to work this weekend, so he's doing his 1 hour ride right now out around the neighborhood, and I'm doing a 2.5 hour ride today. So we are going to get going. We're going to head over to Reading, and we're going to start from there. All right, just got here, here at Putnam Park. I had my usual starting point. Now, I said to you that I am riding solo today because of Jason having to work, so I'm going to do something a little different with the videos. I'm actually going to take some time to answer some of your questions while I ride, so it's going to be a little different format. Hopefully you guys will like it. So I'm going to go ahead and start setting up my bike. This is a leg warmer, arm warmer kind of day. I actually am not wearing any overshoes today, so we'll see how it goes. It's supposed to be in the 60s, so I'm just going to wear my vest to keep myself nice and toasty. So hope you guys can hear me well. I am hoping that, here's my microphone. Trying to zip up my vest so that you could hear me a little better. You know, what's always hard about being a female riding a bike is bathrooms. And with the fact that all these public restrooms are closed because of COVID, it's just harder for me to find places to use the bathroom. So I was able to find a place behind a porta potty because the porta potty here, they closed it for, you know, for a good reason. Anyway, we are off to riding. Hopefully you could hear this all right. I don't know how the wind noise is going to be. I have the lav mic on attached to my the collar of my vest here, so hopefully you could hear me all right and there's not too much wind noise. So this part always there's a lot of potholes over here coming out of the park. So questions that you guys have, or just in general that I've came across from people who know me, or who have met me. I get this a lot. I'm Filipino. My family immigrated here from the Philippines to the US several years ago when I was 5 or 6 years old. And I'm 34 now, or at least I think I'm 34. I don't actually keep track of my age. I usually have to ask Jason. So yes, I was born in the Philippines and pretty much lived in the US for ever since we immigrated here. And I've only been back to the Philippines once. And I think because when you go back to a country that's thousands of miles away when you live in Connecticut, you kind of have to stay there for a number of weeks. And the best time to go is usually in April. And in the past, I would have school, so I could never go. So that's my excuse, because I didn't want to miss those many days of school. Fast forward to my adult life, which is now. I am a teacher, and so I still can't go in April because even though we get spring break, it's still not long enough to be able to go there, because if you factor in travel and all that, and 1 week is 1 week is just not enough. And so that's why I have not returned. So it's super windy now. I'm gonna shut up. That's primarily due to my grandparents, who came here to the US first and petitioned my father and his siblings, and they got a job at this book publishing, printing place called Grolier's. I don't think they're around anymore, but they were located in Danbury, and they published, or they printed encyclopedias and thesaurus dictionaries and Disney books. And so every time Grolier's would print too many of these books, they would give it to their employees, and then the employees would do whatever they want with it. My grandparents would ship it to the Philippines when I was still living there, and so I was gifted with boxes and boxes of books that I enjoyed. Not the encyclopedia, the Disney books as a kid. And so I think that started off my liking for books, and how I always get this giddy excitement when I go into a bookstore and smell books. The smell of books is comforting to me. So anyway, that's why my family settled in Connecticut, and we've lived here ever since. People, thought that dating websites were silly, and thought it was funny to meet somebody through a computer and actually be successful with it. So yes, Jason and I met through Match, and we have a happy marriage. And this was before these dating apps came about. Now they have a ton of different dating apps where you can swipe back and forth whether or not you like the person. No, it was a little harder back then. We exchanged emails, and we first met up in a Starbucks near where we live, and really hit it off. Had coffee and pretty much talked for like 3 hours. So there is, oh crap, I forgot to bring batteries to this ride. Oh well, I'm bound to forget something. Oh well. So you won't get a whole lot of footage today then. So I got into riding bikes a couple years ago, I think about 2 years ago. Jason and I would go on vacations once in a while we'll go away every year, and all those years could be a little different, but we alternate between the Cape or Cape Cod in Massachusetts and another location that we haven't been to. And so the Cape is great because they have this Cape Cod rail trail that goes, I believe, from the western side of Cape Cod all the way up north to Provincetown. Oh, looks like people are on the road. It's just fine, just keep our distance from them. Hopefully. And one day, I think we might have rented a bike, I don't remember, but we would rent, and then one day I said, oh, let me buy a bike. And so my first bike ever was a hybrid, a Nishiki, I think it's Manitoba hybrid. Got it from Dick's Sporting Goods. And it's really not what I was hoping for after I rode it a couple of times. Really didn't get very far. It's more of a, hi, I'm a casual rider, a leisurely ride around a neighborhood kind of bike, or a ride around the beaches type of bike. It's not an endurance bike at all. So I only rode it for, I don't know, a couple of miles, and I enjoyed my rides in them, but I could not climb at all. And that's probably also due to my lack of fitness. And a year or two later, I ended up getting a road bike, my first road bike. From the previous videos, oh gosh, got dogs barking here. From my previous videos, my first ever road bike was a Tommaso Forcella. And let me slow down. Okay, so the Tommaso Forcella was an entry-level bike with a Shimano Claris group set, and that's your entry-level group set to Shimano. Real basic, but I really put down a lot of miles in that, and really got into cycling. I was able to go a little further with that bike, but I didn't really go riding on the roads as much because I didn't know the roads very well. Oh no, another hill. So anyway, I didn't know the rules or the laws of the road, riding my bike through them. I didn't know where to go or what places were safe to ride through. I didn't know really anything. I was riding using flat pedals. So that's how beginner I was. It wasn't until last year I met a young lady who sort of taught me the basics. And she said, you know, get clipless pedals and learn how to ride in them. I was fortunate enough to be able to use clipless pedals, and I've only fallen off once. I have pretty good balance, so maybe I'm attributing it to that. So yeah, I started riding with her, and you know, she showed me sort of the ins and outs of cycling, and then I really caught on to that and really enjoyed it. So I decided to one day, well, actually, let me go backtrack. So last year we went away to Zion, and this was when I had already met Christy, who introduced me to cycling and taught me rules and stuff. So we went to Zion, rented bikes, and we biked through Zion. And it's really not that long of a bike ride. It's just that, you know, because it's such high elevation, you might need time to acclimate and we gave ourselves a little bit of time to acclimate to that before we did any strenuous exercise. So we rode the bike through Zion. A couple days later, we rented mountain bikes, and we mountain biked through the Red Canyon near Bryce Canyon. And so funny story about that ride is that we actually got caught in the middle of a thunderstorm. It's this trail called Thunder Mountain. And we all were talking about how we really should have asked someone why it was called Thunder Mountain. But yeah, we got caught in the middle of a thunderstorm on top of Thunder Mountain. But we still wanted to finish the entire route, which was 30 miles. We did it in like 5 hours because an hour of that time was spent huddling closest to the ground to prevent lightning from striking us. That's how scary it was. So we spent 5 hours or 6 hours, I think, riding through that. And that was equivalent to 30 miles, which was a great, that was the longest I've ever done, I think, in terms of duration, I've been outside. So after that, I decided it was a good idea. Okay, there's a car coming. After that, I thought it was a good idea to do Whew, thank you for letting me go, sir or ma'am. Yeah, so after that, I thought it was a good idea to ride. I saw Rafa was doing a women's 100K, and I thought to myself, oh, perfect. I want to do this, and actually considered taking the train to New York City to do this solo. And then I got scared. But that's not the end of the story. I decided to, instead of riding in New York City, ride on my own 100-kilometer ride. And so I used Ride with GPS, mapped out a route that was going to be about 63 miles. It ended up being 68. I think it only had like 2,500 feet of gain. So it wasn't a lot of climbing, but it took me like 6 hours. Some people can do 100K in 3 hours, but that's how slow I was. My fitness was not there. I wasn't following any training plans. I just wanted to see how far I could go. So yes, I do strength training. I'll go into more details about my training plan next time, but I do 1 day of strength training and I vary it. Jason and I are fortunate enough to have quite a selection of gym equipment to choose from, especially during this time where you can't go to the gym or anything. So we essentially, the reason why we got it is so we can save money on gym memberships, because they can tend to be very expensive. Save money on that and just work out at home. So right now it's really benefiting us, and it's benefited us the day we got it. But my strength training includes doing Bulgarian split squats, single leg squats, some upper body core workouts. My core is not very strong, but I'm slowly strengthening it, doing some Russian twists, plank, mountain climbers and all that. But yeah, so I do at least 1 hour, 1 day a week. Usually it's on a Saturday. So it's Sunday now, and yesterday I did do strength training where I rowed. So we have a rower. I did this interval where I did 5 minutes of rowing and then a couple of other workouts after that, and then repeated it for like 3 rounds. Each of the strength workouts after the rowing was 1 minute long, and I'm not doing strength training to failure. I'm not looking to be a bodybuilder, and so it's all for muscular endurance. So I did those workouts with 1 minute rest in between, and I also was able to run because I still had some, I just wanted to get outside. So I ran a mile. is a great downhill. That's like my favorite because it's so buttery smooth. It's so much fun to go to wind down. It's kind of like, it's a little windy, but it's fun. So I do 1 day of strength training and 2 days of what do I do? Oh yeah, yoga. Okay, 2 days of yoga. So that's about 20 minutes a day of yoga for those 2 days, 20 or 30 minutes, depending on how much I want to stretch. And I used to do more yoga in the past before I even got started into fitness. But yeah, no, yoga is definitely helpful, especially when you want to try to open up your hips. Because from what I've read and seen from professional medical sports physiologists, they talk about how opening up the hips or having a hip impingement can actually lead to knee problems. So I try to get my hips, making sure that they are, I get full flexibility of my hips. And I do a lot of the pigeon pose. A lot of my stretches are actually based on running because that's what I started out doing. So I do the pigeon pose. I do the open gate, close gate. What is it called? Fire hydrant. It's like when you're a dog and as if you're going on the fire hydrant. And then donkey kicks. And I also do shoulder gaiters because to open up my shoulders, because sometimes I get a little shoulder or elbow pain from riding for a while, especially when you're like in a tuck position. So yeah, 2 days of yoga, and then the 4 days is riding the bike. So 3 of those 4 days I ride indoors. The days that you see me riding right now, this is my endurance day. And I ride on the bike erg, which in the past you may have seen me riding. We have 2 of the bike ergs so that Jason also can train alongside. And it's a great training tool, and we use Zwift. A lot of people have asked me about the bike erg and how it works, and does it feel like a real bike. But my answer to that is, if you're riding indoors, it's never going to feel like riding outdoors. So it's a little different from a road bike. Like if you were to ride on a Wahoo kicker, because the biker doesn't have shifters, you're not shifting, you can change the damper. Okay, so we are about halfway into our ride here. I'm going to make a pit stop at a near a reservoir to kind of stop and just have a brownie or two. That's what's great about doing these rides, is I can have dessert. It's a good excuse to have dessert. So I'll be munching on that, stay hydrated, and then hopefully the sun will come out soon, but looks like it'll be a while. So there's an intersection here. I'm going to have to take it easy. So back from the ride, it turned out to be a lot quicker than I had anticipated. So this was supposed to be a 2.5 hour endurance ride, and it turned out to be a 2 hour and 10-minute endurance ride. But I guess I didn't really factor in that there's not as much climbing as in this route than what I've planned in the past. So I guess next time, when I do a 2.5 hour, I'll have to plan for something that's about 35 miles long. The stats for today, I ended up doing 30.5 miles, 1,939 feet of gain at 2 hours and 10 minutes, and an average speed of 14.1 miles per hour. Usually, if it's a hilly route, I'll probably average around 12 or 13 miles per hour. So this time around went a little faster. And so yeah, I am gonna get ready to go back home now. Ahead of schedule, shower up, and then hopefully I can sit down with you guys and talk a little bit more. Again, sorry for lack of footage in the ride. It's because, like I said, I forgot my batteries here in the car, so now I have batteries. It is a couple hours now, and of course the sun decides to peek through, and so we have some sun. I didn't really get a chance to get any of that sun when I was out, but that's okay. It's funny because I didn't actually, I didn't get to film a lot during that ride. And as I was riding, it was interesting because I was kind of just lost in my own thoughts, and just enjoying that opportunity that I had. Thank you for watching. So I will go ahead and sign out. Don't forget to subscribe again. If you like this video. If you don't like it, which is fine. If you don't have to like it. Tell me how I can improve moving forward. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.